so excited to see the Chiefs back at the Super Bowl. And who they will be playing in the Super Bowl casino is my Philadelphia Eagles, which they won in the biggest in the most points ever scored in an NFC or AFC championship game in NFL history, which is absolutely
Since it
insane.
was recorded, since those or the conference championship games were put in back in 1970. So,
Yeah,
long fucking
that's
time.
that's insane. The Eagles win 55-23 in just a blowout that I've heard legitimate analysts on TV say it was close. I'm not even joking. I've heard people say it was close. This was a 32-point blowout, and you still have people on TV going like, I mean, but
And
at
then the
any
turnover and
moment,
then the turnover ratio was, uh, what ended up 4 with that interception, I think, right? So, yeah,
yeah,
4
4 to
turnovers to
nothing.
0. Yeah, like, this was not close. This was an absolute domination from every special team. Like, the special teams were outstanding. The defense was outstanding. It was a perfect game. Damn near. I
Yeah.
mean, outside of making every completion, this was a perfect football game that they played. And
And
and you can't knock Jaden Daniels. He still had a great game. He had to throw the ball 48 times. Yes, you can throw the interception. Talked about that plenty. If you ask a quarterback to throw over 35 times, you kind of should expect one turnover. You know, you can't be shocked if it happens. If it doesn't, great. But if it happens, you can't be like, like, yeah.
this was as I like to do, and again, I called myself the football oracle. This is 3 minutes into the game, or 3 to 5 minutes into this game. These are the two messages I send you back to back. 18 plays, and they got 42 yards. The announcers are acting like that's an impressive drive for the Commanders. 18 plays, and they were able to move the ball only 42 yards and settle for a field goal. Eagles are winning this game. The very next message, 5 minutes into any game, I feel like you can tell who is going to win just by vibes. Eagles vibes are motivated badasses. Commanders vibes seem very nervous.
Mhm.
Okay. Literally 5 minutes into this game, the Commanders, 18 plays, 42 yards. They convert on fourth down like 4 times. For some reason, don't keep trying and just decide to kick for a field goal. And the announcers are like, wow, 18 plays. And they go down the field and they took so much time off the clock and all this kind of stuff. Like,
You wanna know
in
who also
what?
had a historic, great start to a football game?
There,
Notre
yep.
Dame.
Yeah, their parallels were very
Similar.
obvious on that. Yeah,
Obviously similar, yeah.
but no, but it's so weird how the announcers were acting like that was a good thing. They again, you see 42 yards and you're like, "Oh, what did they it took like 10 plays or whatever." It took almost double what you usually do to get half the yards you normally get, and
Right.
then you settle for a field goal.
You wanna
I don't
know
Go
No,
ahead.
keep going. Sorry.
No,
I
I
thought
was
you were
just
done.
gonna say, and then immediately after that, the second or the first play the Eagles
That's
do,
literally what I was gonna say. And then you talk
yeah.
about an impressive drive. First play the Eagles run, Saquon goes to the house. Outstanding.
I believe I have a graphic right here. I won't put it up on the screen, but I'll read it. In that moment after that play, the Commanders had 18 plays. Their time of possession was 7 minutes and 3 seconds, and they put up 3 points. The Philadelphia Eagles had one play for 18 seconds that resulted in a touchdown. So less than 8 minutes into the game, the score was 7-3, and the difference of plays was 17 plays.
Yeah.
That
I mean, the
is,
the thing that's impressive for me that the Washington did was Jaden Daniels played a really good game. He was their leading rusher. He yes, he threw a pick, but he played well. I think it was what, 29 for what was it? 29-48, I think.
for the
It,
Commanders or
yeah,
for Jane Daniels.
the
Yeah,
Jaden Daniels.
For Daniels, he was 29 for 48,
Yeah.
255, one touchdown, one
Yeah,
interception.
and
So,
a lot of that is he started having to heave balls toward the end of the game because he's trying to win. So it's not, some of those numbers are a little skewed, but I thought he played great, especially for a rookie, that wasn't expected to be there, and that team wasn't
yeah.
expected to be there. I think Washington's gonna be very scary for the next few years. They finally got their whole organization in check. They got rid of what they needed to. They brought in what they needed to. This team's going to be good for a long time, and Jaden Daniels is going to be, I think, a stud going forward. Because look what he's doing with very little um, with very little help on offense. I mean, I know that you have oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? McLaurin, right?
Yes, Terry McLaurin, who
Yeah,
had a big touchdown catch and run in this
he
game.
did. So like
Yeah.
they played well as a duo, but you were just and they played well. They still put up points against, the number 1 defense. They played a good game. Washington did not play a bad game. It's just the Eagles played almost a perfect game. I
I would
mean,
say it was a perfect game.
I
They
mean,
didn't have
I
one turnover. I think it was perfect.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, almost to me, it was almost perfect. And when I mean almost perfect, you make your completion ratio a little bit better and, just yeah, I don't know, put up 60 points instead of 55. I don't know. But when you have all sides of the football, including special teams, playing outstanding and making plays that matter in the football game, when you have special teams making plays in the football game, that's great. That's a successful team. That's a team that can win consistently. And I mean, spoiler, I know we'll talk about it, but I just can't see how the Chiefs could beat the Eagles. I mean, it was questionable with Allen and the Bills. I just thought Josh Allen himself was going to will that to happen. That's what I've been talking about. And James Cook. I was like, they got Cook. He's playing really well. Feed him the ball, and I think that they could beat the Chiefs. And they stopped doing that, and they didn't let Josh run um, outside of like scrambling, but they were protecting the outside, but they weren't designing plays for him to run, which I don't get.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
understand that
but
either.
here's the thing: the
Yeah.
Eagles are not going to do that. The Eagles run the football. They are going to run that football, and it's not just with Saquon. I mean, Hurts can run the football as well, especially when you get closer within the red zone. So that's where I just can't see the Chiefs beating the Eagles because the Eagles run the football, and that's what the Chiefs struggle against, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As like they're a great team still. I mean, they still have a great defense, but the thing I think that the Chiefs lack, the the thing that is on their team that is some chinks in the armor is going to be their run defense, and especially trying to stop Saquon Barkley and a elusive quarterback. Good luck. And I'll tell you right now, if Saquon can block the way he did in that Chiefs game or in that Commanders game in the Super Bowl, sorry, bro. Like outstanding.
Yeah.
He was laying some hits.
Well, so you saying that, Casino, actually, I just pulled it up. The Chiefs during the regular season were the 8th rushing defense in the league, where they were allowing 101.8 yards in per game. In the playoffs, however, they have averaged, again, only in 2 games, they have averaged the opponent's running back to get 148 rushing yards per game, which during the regular season, that would have put them as the 31st ranked running, or no, or yes, it would have put them as the 31st worst rushing defense in the league. So I don't know what happened between regular season and postseason, but so far in the postseason, if they have this same run defense, they would be the 31st worst running defense in the league. So now obviously that bodes well for Saquon Barkley and
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts,
And that's why I
but
thought I thought the recipe for the Bills to win the game was running, and they just didn't do it when they needed to. And it was successful when they did it. So I just don't get it. That's where I
yeah.
think it came down to coaching.
Yeah. But shout out, I will say, to the Commanders. Yes, their fans are annoying. Whose fans aren't?
Yeah,
But
whose fans aren't? I mean,
yeah.
yeah, Patriot fans, they're the worst, and I'm one of them. I mean, they're not worse than the Eagles fans, but they're bad.
See, and everybody says Eagles fans are worse. And then again, I can also cherry pick videos off the internet to make any fan base look like they're the worst fan base on the planet. So I just think there's certain fans for certain teams that are always going to be annoying in every sport on the planet. Like what? And then again, when people say, "Oh, the Eagles fans are the worst," they threw batteries at Santa Claus. It's like that happened during the '70s. Why is that still being brought up as a thing today? Most of those fans are probably dead. But when we talk about this game, Casino, I think obviously it was the turnovers. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, he did get sacked 3 times. One of those on fourth down was a Caleb Williams sack where he just had no self awareness that there was somebody just breathing down his neck, and then he gets sacked for a turnover on downs. But also, shout out to Eagles legend, Super Bowl champion Zach Ertz. In this game, he was the leading receiver by a wide margin in
Yeah.
terms of receptions, yards,
He played
and
well. He played
targets.
real well.
He was the best. I think if you take out Jaden Daniels throwing the one interception and all that stuff, he was the MVP on offense, maybe on the whole Commanders team. 11 receptions, 104 yards, targeted 16 times. Did not catch the touchdown because the lone touchdown went to McLaurin on that big slant play that went to the house. But Eagles, on the other hand, Saquon Barkley, 15 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. Will Shipley, when they're just trying to run out the clock, all of a sudden breaks out a 60-yard run and then immediately starts covering the ball because you could tell he knew he A wasn't fast enough and B he looked like he was out of breath. So
Oh, he was dead.
that was funny. Yeah. And then AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, in that order, the leading catcher in yards. AJ Brown also caught the lone touchdown. Devontae Smith would have caught the touchdown if he wasn't being mugged repeatedly down the field in the end zone. But now, Casino, the thing we have to talk about is not Jalen Hurts, because that's going to be a whole other segment that I want to get into. The the
Man,
sequence
are
of
we gonna have time
events.
for all of your rants?
No, actually, I don't have any rants for this one. And I know people were expecting it, but this is where I was coming from. Before this game, I'm the most superstitious, nervous person when it comes to watching
I'm just a
football
little
games.
stitious.
Yeah, there you go. Nice callback. But as you know, Casino, I always get very nervous before Eagles games. This I was very nervous before the Rams game because I was like, shit, like anything can happen in the snow. It's going to be a weird game, and it was. And I was very nervous in that game. The before this game, I had 0% nerves. I was like, there's no scenario, there's no way this Commanders team beats this Eagles team. So I wasn't nervous at all. During the game, it started out like perfect. And then after that Saquon run and score, I was like, I'm not nervous at all. Even when it got to 14-12, I was like, nope. Never once doubted the Eagles were winning this game. Multiple times during this game, I text you, we're winning this game. Like, this is going to be an easy blowout. Like, nothing. But the thing we need to talk about for this game, Casino, was I don't know if you saw the tush push situation with Frankie
Uh,
Louvu,
dude,
where
and I
I
can't knock him. I can't knock him for what he was doing. He was trying to stop it. He was trying to stop it. He was doing
also,
everything he was the only one doing everything he could to try to stop that.
yeah. So, but again, the controversy came to where I believe after I want to say third time, I think he tried to do it 4 times, right? After the third or fourth time he did it, the referees get on and say, if this does not stop, we will just award basically points to the Eagles
Yeah.
because of a play that was put in the NFL rulebook in the 50s or something like that. And the story behind that is crazy. I watched a whole video on it, but it's basically you can't excessively get the same penalty to try to stop an opponent from scoring, because then the referees are allowed to just give you the points because it's the other team like delaying the game
I I
inevitably or
I
something like
mean, it
that.
makes sense, honestly. It makes
Yeah.
sense that it would be in the rule book, but it's just weird that, we've never had to worry about that. It's never come up before.
That's what I was thinking, and it honestly felt like the tuck rule, where it's just like one of those things where it's like, yeah, technically it's a rule, but we've never been in a scenario to enforce it. Like if that, but again, My question to you is, I've seen a lot of people upset that the referees were basically like, we're going to give you points if you don't stop trying to do this. In that scenario, what else are the referees supposed to try to do? Like, I don't, again, this isn't even as an Eagles
You mean the
fan.
referee, or do you mean Washington?
No, no, I'm saying the referees. If Washington just keeps jumping over the line and getting the same penalty, especially when it's the same person. And again, I understand getting or trying to do the snap count. And then I've seen people be like, oh, yeah, well, Jordan or Jalen Hurts was doing like a hard count. Like, yeah, he was doing a hard count because it was working. Like, why wouldn't I don't understand in this scenario who the bad guy is and why there needs to be a bad guy. I understand what Luvu is doing. He's trying to time the snap count. Jalen Hurts knows he's trying to time the snap count, so that's why he keeps doing a hard count. The
Yeah.
referees are throwing out the same penalty and can't get any more yards added to the penalty. So in this scenario, what would people upset that the referee said we're just going to give them the touchdown if you stop doing this? In that scenario, what would you like the outcome to be? That's basically my
Well, my
question.
whole take on this was I think that rule could be put in place because, especially in a situation there on the goal line, is that you can hurt other players by constantly jumping over. I mean, your center's already got a bad back, like, right? The
Yeah.
Eagles
Well,
center,
also he hit Hurts on like the second one, just full on like tackled him basically.
yeah.
Like,
So, like,
yeah.
it's also now a player safety situation having them do that. So that's where my whole take on that was, and I'm fine with the referees pulling that old rule out of the rule book because okay, I mean, it makes sense. It's there for the rule, like it's there to make people safe kind of situation.
Yeah.
That was my
It's
take on it.
no, and again, I don't fault him for trying to do it, but I also people being like, "Well, this is what happens when you have the tush push or whatever." Quarterback sneaks have been around forever.
And
If the
some teams still do it, some teams don't. Patrick Mahomes doesn't do it anymore because he got injured doing that. So it's you know, players know, people know. Like, does it work? Does it not work? Josh Allen always typically goes to the left when he does this kind of push. Nobody does the tush push like the Eagles do. And it's
well,
mainly because Jalen Hurts and his size and his power where he can just drive forward.
well, also the whole thing coming into the season was like, "Oh man, Jason Kelsey is the secret to the tush push and all that
I mean,
kind of
I
stuff."
thought so. I mean,
And
he's probably the greatest center to ever play the game.
yeah, but then also in this scenario, it's like, why would the Eagles not try to do the tush push? The tush push is not automatic because the Commanders had already stopped it earlier in the game on a 2-point attempt. And again, Buffalo has shown it's not automatic because anytime they got in 4th and 1 or 4th and inches, they just ran up to the line and tried the tush push. But again, Josh Allen does that weird tush push where he runs, like you were saying, to the left side and then kind of just tries to find a crease in the line instead of being pushed over the line.
Right.
But again, if the issue is you can't stop the tush push in this game they already stopped the tush push. So I don't understand the argument because the Commanders don't like it and keep getting a penalty try to stop it. The Eagles are the ones that have to change the play and try something different. Why? It's not automatic. But last bit, Casino, and then we will get out of here. I just wanted to do a quick Jalen Hurts thing because him going to the Super Bowl after losing his first Super Bowl is a thing, and I will pull this up right now, that has not happened the previous 19 times, which is crazy because you think only the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history go to the Super Bowl. Well, if you look at this one right now, uh, the previous 19 quarterbacks to lose their Super Bowl debut as a starter never made it back, going all the way back to 1994. I think, oh man, I can't remember. I think it might have been Bledsoe was the last one
Drew
to go.
Bledsoe.
I think I can't remember who it was, but you look at the list of names, it's kind of crazy that some of these players went to a Super Bowl. I'm looking at you, Rex Grossman, but no, this is, I mean, but a list also where Joe Burrow, arguably top 5 quarterback in the league. Jimmy Garoppolo, when he was with the 49ers, was arguably a top 10 quarterback in the league. Goff, obviously, with the Lions. Matt Ryan, that was his MVP year. Cam Newton, that was his 15-1 year. Colin Kaepernick with the 49ers. Rex Grossman is obviously the standout there. Matt Hasselbeck, Donovan McNabb, Jake Delhomme, Rich Gannon. Really good mid to early 2000s quarterbacks that were kind of in that second echelon below, like the elite guys.
Right.
And then you can throw Kerry Collins in there as well. Air McNair, Chris Chandler. Oh, Drew Bledsoe is on there. So it wasn't Drew Bledsoe. And then Neil O'Campbell, Stan Humphries. So that is, if you would have said, has another quarterback gone to the Super Bowl after losing their debut? I think I would have said no, but that is a crazy list that it's happened 19 times. Just one and dones. And again, I don't think any of those
Would it
guys.
be the guy from Buffalo? Because he went
Oh,
when
Jim
he's
Kelly.
yeah.
That oh, that's probably, I think that is, I mean, in my defense, Jim Kelly and Drew Bledsoe do look shockingly similar. But, but yeah,
Tall, skinny white guys? Yeah.
but I think it was, yes, I think it was Jim Kelly, which also, let's hope that's not how this trajectory plays out where they just go to 4 and lose them. But it's not 4 in a row, so there's still a chance, Casino. But also Jalen Hurts, the last 3 seasons, 2 times NFC champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All Pro, 121 total touchdowns, second among active quarterbacks, 51 rushing touchdowns, most by any player in the league, 42 wins, second among quarterbacks, only behind Patrick Mahomes. And then he is the first quarterback in 33 years to reach another Super Bowl after losing their first Super Bowl. So again, I'm not even going to do the Jalen Hurts thing where I just rant nonstop about him. He was the highest graded player in the entire championship round. Had more passing yards than Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jaden Daniels. All quarterbacks, I was told, going into this week were better than him. So again, we've already shattered the narrative on here. When he passes the ball 35 times or more, the team wins more. They just don't play that style of football.